Hello and greetings to all. The purpose of this video is to further one of my life's main objectives, which is to promote brown spirituality as a means for us to reclaim a humanity that was stolen from us through colonization. One of the main questions that I faced whenever I announced that I was no longer interested in the Christian faith was, well, who or what are you going to worship now? And I found it absolutely appalling that we are always expected to provide an answer as to which God we have chosen to take us under their wing after we have left the Judeo Christian version of God. And my response is that I worship no one and nothing in particular. Pretty much, brown spirituality to me is reclaiming that humanity that was stolen from us through colonization. Since in forced converting us to a foreign religion, they pretty much implied that we were less civilized and less of a human being. And after conversion to Christianity, we were now civilized and more of a wholesome individual. Brown spirituality is completely and totally opposed to that ideology of manifest destiny. Manifest destiny in itself is a strong enough argument in my book, which pretty much establishes that white spirituality has miserably failed us as brown people, as colored peoples of the world. So basically, that is brown spirituality to me. Reclaiming, our ancestors formulated and devised a worldview for themselves and for their posterity to come, much like the Jews did, the Hebrews, much like the Romans did, much like Egyptians did. Now, these normally there will be a head honcho, an almighty God that pervades over. It could be Zeus, it could be, and even in Judeo-Christian belief, they say, "Oh, we have one God." Yeah, but you got all these lesser deities. You got Mary, you got the saints, you got the archangels, and you might tell yourself that they're not really gods or deities, but yeah, that's what they are. So there's the main god of your pantheon, and then there are these lesser uh, demigods or gods or whatnot, and then there will be that special messenger, that incarnation of God on earth, through which uh, God becomes a tangible, a human being that bridges that immense gap between divinity and us. There's Jesus. Um, in our Mexica worldview, it could be Huitzilopochtli, but it is completely not the same, since there is no such thing as gods and goddesses in our worldview. It's been argued quite a bit. There were gods. No, there were energies. No, there were metaphors. Civilizations go through evolutions, and regardless of whether they were indeed gods or not, in our present cycle of Chicanismo, of finding our way out of colonization, it's really not going to take that form, because we are escaping the mental servitude of Christianity. And the worst thing we can do is just adopt another foster god or have them adopt us and then just bow down to them and completely, once again, lose our humanity and our volition to a higher being. And pretty much through explaining the tale of Huitzilopochtli, I seek to explain that regardless, we can't, put together a time machine and bring somebody from, like a priest from back in the day, and have him explain to us exactly how it was. So a lot of it is hearsay, a lot of it is oral tradition, scholarly work, which of course might also be biased, since the authorities back then were Christian. So currently, rather than, I don't worship Huitzilopochtli, I talk about him a lot. And my mother, who is still a Christian, swears that I worship him or that he's my God now. But he's not. He's in Hermetic thought, these beings are referred to as the elder brothers and sisters of the human race. I believe it's in the Emerald tablets. And that's exactly what it is. You know, what does an older brother or older sister do? Pave the way for you, more or less. You know, you grow up, following their footsteps to a certain extent. And that is what I seek to do through Huitzilopochtli, And I think I've shared this previously, but whenever I started studying, the Aztec gods and whatnot, we find ourselves reflected in these beings. There's Huehuecoyotl, who is, he's fun. He's, the god of dance, of uninhibited sexuality and whatnot. I personally love Xochipilli, the flowery prince, who, represents hallucinogens. Not because of that, but the more artistic aspect of humanity. But Huitzilopochtli was the one that kind of like reached out to me and said, I want to challenge you, because I don't want you to pick an archetype that aligns with you totally, because then it's not going to challenge you. So in a sense, and again, I'm not being delusional or religious, but in a sense, Huitzilopochtli picked me, just like he picked the Aztecs in Aztlan and said, that's going to be my people. He picked me. I didn't pick him. I really didn't. Because to me, especially, to me, he was a little too violent, which I'm getting to know him as the hummingbird. What I'm saying? What's violent about a hummingbird? Well, don't get him twisted, because he's, what I'm saying? He represents that inner drive, and our inner drive is going to make things happen, whether it's through war or whether it's through any other means. So please stay tuned, because I really want to get deep with this brown spirituality, because it's not a passing fad. It's not, something, a phase that we're going through, and then eventually we're going to go back to Christianity. Brown spirituality is the future for us brown people.